What's up? We got The Flash, Season 1, Episode 8, The Flash versus Arrow. Yeah, this is the crossover episode. Yeah, we got the Flash versus Arrow. Just wanted to do that. That was yeah. So this episode starts off with Barry again monologuing about how, so then we see a metahuman, and he's opening a bank, and by looking of his eyes, he's able to turn on that anger emotion to make everyone want to kill each other. But then Barry is able to flash in and stop it. So yeah. So then we see Iris and Eddie making out, and this is when discovers Iris's blog, and he's not happy about he's like, this guy isn't real, and she's like, yes he is, he brings people. You don't believe him? And he's like, I believe in what I see, and what I hear, and what I touch. And he touches her. So yeah, so next time Barry sees Eddie trying to get the Flash arrested, and he tells Iris about how he's trying to get Captain Sane to make it look like the Flash is a public menace. And she basically confronts Eddie, saying, I tell you about the Flash, and now you're trying to get him arrested? And Eddie's like, thanks, Barry. It's like Barry tried to break them up. So then Barry zooms in as the Flash, and she talks about her boyfriend. He's like, did you guys break up? Really? That's the first thing you ask her? Caitlin did mention about how Barry shouldn't be the reason why they break up, but immediately Barry's question as the Flash is, did you guys break up? And she's like, no, and he's like, oh. It seems like Barry is trying to break up Iris and Eddie. It seems like Barry is trying to break up Iris and Eddie. It seems like that. Aside from that, Joe and his police captain try to arrest Bivolo, but it hasn't even Roy G. Bivolo. I'm just gonna keep calling him Bivolo because try to arrest Bivolo, but then Bivolo uses his powers to one of the cops. But that's when the Flash saves Joe, but that's when the Arrow shows up. Yeah, he's like, nice mask. He stops the guy and he comments saying, hey Barry, nice mask, and zooms out of there. Yeah. Arrow crossover. Bam. Yeah, we got an Arrow crossover. Arrow Flash crossover. So Dr. Wells and Joe try to say about how Oliver's evil, and about how Oliver's evil. Oliver's evil, and how Oliver's evil, and he doesn't want to, and he's like, hey, he goes by the Arrow now, and he's like, Flash. And he's like, what's this about? And he's like, we don't trust him. He's like, you don't know him. And he's like, he's been wanted for homicides for the last 2 years. And he's like, he doesn't kill people anymore. And he's like, you shouldn't be following this guy. And he's like, why? Because you want to be a hero, but we don't think this guy is the one you should be looking up to. So then we see Felicity and Dig, and they're commenting about how even Big Belly Burger and Starling is still in Central City. It still tastes like Big Belly Burger, and that's when Oliver comes in. Barry flashes in and she's like, hey Oliver, hey Barry, and he's like, hey Fussy, what's going on, Dig? And Dig's like, you're fast. so so yeah, he's like, what are you guys doing here? Because they're trying to solve the Starling was a homicide. Starling with a boomerang, with a murder weapon is a boomerang. And he's like, hey, let's stick Star Labs on him. And Oliver's like, that's not a good idea because the more people know his identity, the better. And he's like, hey, they know who. And then Barry flashes over and Diggle's like, that's not freaking you out. I love Diggle. Diggle is the best in this. Diggle is the best in this crossover, everybody. Diggle is the best in this crossover. So yeah, so I like this scene where Barry's like, Barry Felicity accidentally puts her bra on fire, and Cisco and Caitlin come in, and Barry's like, you remember Felicity? And Cisco's like, I'm gonna remember this. Okay, Cisco. Yeah, and they show him the murder weapon. So yeah, so Oliver decides to show up with Bear. Decides to show Barry with a training just like Rocky, and he's like, I'm gonna throw you with an arrow. I'm gonna hit you with an arrow. You're gonna run over there. I'm gonna hit you with an arrow. And Barry's like, haha, no, you're not. And he's like, yeah, I am. And he's like, okay, I'll humor you. Flies over there, speeds over there. He's like, ready. He grabs the arrow, but then Oliver has two secret other arrow contraptions and it hits two arrows in Barry's back. And he's like, hey, you shot him? And he's like, I heard you heal fast. And pulls arrows out of him. I'm loving this episode. Ready. It's just like, I love the crossover aspect. So, I'm loving the crossover aspect. I'm loving the crossover aspect. So yeah, so Barry goes. So yeah. So Barry gets affected by. So Barry goes to take on Bivolo by himself, which is a dangerous move, and Barry should not be doing this. And Bivolo's like, now feel some anger. So Barry tries to like rub it off as wasn't, but she's like, Barry, you gotta be more careful. And he's like, hold up, Caitlin, stop treating him like Ronnie. And she's like, yeah, you're not Ronnie. And she's like, Barry, you are a lovable jerk. She's a dummy, but I'm gonna use jerk because this is jerk Barry. And he's like, oh, it's Oliver. He wants to talk. So yeah. So Barry goes, and he's like, you want to embarrass me again? And he's like, I'm not trying to embarrass you, Barry. I'm trying to help you. And he's like, yeah, right, you are. You'll never be as fast as I am. And that's gotta hurt your heart. That's gotta hurt your rock hard pride, Ollie. And he's like, Felicity told me. I told Felicity you didn't want my help. And he's like, yeah, you were right. So yeah. So Barry gets angry at Captain Singh, and he tries to say about Joe tries to make an excuse saying that he's taking some bad medication. So he's like, hey, Singh's still our boss. Singh, yeah, I know how you feel, but Singh's still our boss. He's like, you really want to help Joe? Get his dad out of prison. You're the one that put him there, right? And he's like, let's go back to Star. Let's go back to Star Labs. And he's like, I'm calm. And when he says, when I'm not calm, you'll know. And his eyes glow red. It's real cool. And Barry leaves. So Barry they try. So they. So yeah. So Harrison reveals that he knew that Oliver was the Arrow. So he's like, hey, we might need the we need call over Queen. We need what? And Cisco's just like, because he had a list of people he knew was the Arrow, and Oliver Queen was on the list. So yeah, so Oliver, so Iris and Eddie get into a fight about how she was like, about how she's met with him a couple of times, about how he didn't tell her. But then the Flash shows up and he's like, "He's been looking for me." And his cool vibrating voice, even though he's angry, it's still cool vibrating voice. And he's like, what do you think you can, how do you think you can get, and how do you think you can get? And she's like, don't do this. And he's like, you think I'm fine. And she's like, no, Iris said, no, you're not. And you think because you know your blog, you don't know me. You never did. And yeah. And yeah. And she's like, I may not know you, but I know that you wouldn't just turn around. You'd save people and just turn around and want to hurt them. And that's when the Arrow's like, stop. And they run and they get into a fight and it's really cool. It's a really cool Arrow versus Flash fight, and it's just like a boom, boom, boom. And Barry tries to speed around Oliver, but Oliver uses tranquilizer, but Barry's able to phase it out of him, but then Oliver tries to swing, but Barry's like, "Where are you going?" and cuts off the Arrow, and yeah, but they're able to use some like lights to knock him out of it, and they arrest Reggie Bigelow, and he's like, I heard it all before, pal. Adios, Prism. And Caitlin's like, I like Rainbow Rider because that's his name in the comics, and he's like, I could do the nickname around here. Yeah, so he explains about he explains about he explains about how. So Wells knows that he knew his father, but Oliver says there's something not right about that guy. What could Oliver mean by this? So Iris also cuts off saying that don't contact her anymore. But hold up, Iris, weren't you the one contacting him? You were the one sending him those messages. He contacted you like once, but the rest of the times it was you contacting him. So shouldn't you be saying you for yourself to stop contact? Shouldn't you be saying Iris is not gonna contact him anymore? But no, she doesn't say that. But then so then we see. So some guys are like on the highway, and you're like, are you cold? And the guy's hand turns to fire, and he's like, I'm not cold. And that's how the episode ends. So I thought the episode was really good. It was a really good first half of the Flash season 1, episode 8. I like the Arrow versus Flash fight. It was really good. I think this may be one of my favorite Flash episodes of all time. I know that later on there's going to be like a bunch of Flash episodes that could outrank this, but for now, this episode is my favorite Flash episode of all time. But anyway, next time I'll see you next time. I'll see you after this video for another. I'll see you for the part 2 of Flash vs. Arrow titled Brave and the Bold. Zoom, zoom.